Bravo, 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 bravo.
2023 brought a lot of changes to the Jehovah's Witness religion, and this governing body update is the first follow-up on those changes to try to normalize them and redefine the narrative that cult members have to have around it. And it all starts with the report of an earthquake, which Jehovah's Witnesses consider signs of the end, where David Splane, as always, only focuses on the effects the earthquake had on his religion, and never on his neighbor.
On January 1st of this year, a magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck central Japan. Thankfully, none of our brothers were killed. But over 100 of their homes were damaged, and 2 were destroyed. Also, 9 kingdom halls were damaged. The branch office quickly provided accommodations and other necessities for our brothers and sisters. Soon after, the branch appointed a disaster relief committee and sent branch representatives to visit our brothers in the affected areas. Within just a few days, additional relief aid was delivered to congregations in need. In the Wajima congregation, the elders couldn't account for one sister. To reach her, an elder walked for 8 hours, avoiding landslides and cracks in the ground, until he was able to confirm that she was safe.
This achieves 2 things. It perpetuates the Armageddon is near narrative, and it encourages Jehovah's Witnesses to donate money, since they always make the point of saying how their religion helps those in need, even though the people were supported by their friends, not by the donations given to their religion. And now, Splane is about to invite Jehovah's Witnesses to go to the pretend museum they themselves helped build.
On January 1st, the Patterson Visitor Center officially opened for tours. Construction began in early 2021 and was completed in September 2023. What will you experience when you come for a visit? Let's take a look.
The Patterson Visitor Center features 3 museums and a coin display. The first exhibit you'll notice is entitled Defending and Legally Establishing the Good News. It presents the powerful experiences of men, women, and even school children who held to their Bible-based beliefs despite legal opposition. This exhibit shows how Jehovah's organization supported them through difficult tests.
I've always thought that these museums are there to attract Jehovah's Witnesses into spending their vacations there, since they have donation boxes all over, so Jehovah's Witnesses don't forget to donate money the one time they sort of had fun being Jehovah's Witnesses. However, there's something else that I found more interesting, and that is the appearance of beards in Bethel. We already saw the first one if you were paying attention, and we'll keep seeing them pop up every now and then as they invite people to go to Bethel on vacations.
A biblical coin gallery presents a unique display of original coins that were in circulation in the 1st century, along with their scriptural context and significance. Another exhibit, entitled All Your Sons Will Be Taught by Jehovah, features some of the training programs and schools that have been used by Jehovah's modern-day organization to equip us as ministers and teachers. We trust it will motivate you to see additional ways that you can take advantage of the education Jehovah provides. Our feature museum is a 1st century Bible village. The local villagers are very welcoming and will be eager to show you how they live and work together as a community. You'll see firsthand what life was like when Jesus walked the earth. You'll walk through agricultural areas, a marketplace, residences, a synagogue, and even by the seashore.
Now, obviously, some of the longer beards are definitely fake since they have not had time to grow that much of a beard, but it makes me wonder if they will slowly shift Bethelites with longer beards to pretend they are Israelites. Anyway, now that David Splane is inviting me, I would love to go. If you're a supporter, you may know that I've been planning to go to Patterson and Warkill this year to record all of this and show you guys the whole experience. I'm still in the early phases of planning, but if you're a Bethelite or have any contacts as a PMO and would like to help me out, please reach out. I will dress as a Jehovah's Witness and try to attract as little attention as possible. I really just want to visit and document everything. And after Splane has given us ideas for our next vacation, it's time to get gaslit into redefining what the no.1 reporting change means for the preaching work.
Now, let's talk about the recent adjustments to the way we report our ministry and how these affect our personal goals. At the recent annual meeting, we learned that as of last November, we'd no longer be submitting a detailed field service report. That was a big change, wasn't it? But although we've changed the way we report our activity, we haven't changed the way we view the ministry itself. The focus is on people. We love people, and we want to help them. We're ready to share the good news wherever we find them. On Saturday morning, we may spend a couple of hours preaching from door to door. Then we go grocery shopping. Are we off the clock, so to speak, because we're no longer in the formal preaching work? We don't look at it that way. When we're at the grocery store, we're still on the lookout for people we can share the good news with. We may be able to talk to someone standing next to us in a long checkout line, or perhaps with the clerk who processes our order. We can keep it simple. After exchanging a few friendly words, we might pull out a contact card and simply say, "This is a website I think you'd enjoy. It has interesting articles in more than 1,000 languages." Or, after a few appropriate comments, you might offer a tract. If time permits and the person is receptive, we can say more. The same principle can apply when we're waiting at a doctor's office, an airport, shopping, or on public transportation. Here's an idea. Why not have a small supply of contact cards or other literature with you wherever you go?
This is how David Splane is trying to spin the change to no longer reporting hours per month, by pretending this means people can now preach anytime without worrying about the time. But unlike what David apparently wants people to think, this has always existed. It's called informal preaching, and pretty much no Jehovah's Witness does it outside of old ladies at doctor appointments. Why would Jehovah's Witnesses do this instead of reporting hours?
We've said that we're ready to share the good news wherever we find people. But what about the people we don't find? Those who are often not at home. Have you ever driven through a neighborhood on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and noticed that there was a car in every driveway? Yet, when you called on those same homes in the morning, no one was at home. I wonder how many of those people would accept a Bible study if we were able to offer one. Our love for people will move us to call when they're at home. I remember on one occasion, we were going out for supper at a nearby restaurant with another couple. The brother was driving. As we passed a certain house in the neighborhood, he stopped, parked, and said, "Excuse me, but I see a car in the driveway. We've been trying for weeks to find this person at home. We won't be long." And he and his wife got out and made the call. Bravo.
That guy and his wife were definitely trying to impress David Splane. But it got me thinking, if David Splane and his governing body buddies care so much about the preaching work, how come we rarely hear their own stories of the preaching work? How many people do they give Bible study to? And how many of those get baptized? And don't tell me that they are doing more important work. If Jesus thought preaching to people directly was the most important work he could do, these guys cannot say they imitate Jesus if they don't do the same.
Another area where diligence is needed involves following up on interest. A person doing cart work has a conversation with an interested person who requests a visit. That person lives in your territory, and you agree to make the call. Saturday morning, you knock on the door, and what happens? You know the answer. The person isn't at home. Are we going to throw up our hands and say, "Well, I tried"? Not at all. That person showed interest and we're going to keep calling back at different times until we contact him. Although we no longer fill out a detailed field service report, we can still set personal goals for ourselves. Some worthwhile goals might be listening more carefully when the householder is speaking, or showing more personal interest. Another goal might be to cover our territory more thoroughly.
These are the kind of suggestions that only make Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they aren't doing enough. Why? Well, because none of them work. You can apply all of these all the time and never convert anyone, just exhaust yourself trying. And when that happens, you're conditioned to believe that you are the problem, because you don't hear anyone else complaining and because your results are supposed to also show your spirituality. So you just cherry pick the stories that make you sound successful and therefore spiritual, and only tell those in public, which leads everyone else who has the same issues to think they also are the only ones these advices just don't seem to work with. If nobody is allowed to say anything negative about their religion, then you can fool people into thinking that they are alone when they find something negative about it. Instead, all they will do is show you the examples of people reacting the way they want you to.
Let's hear how some of our brothers and sisters feel about the recent adjustments and what they're doing to expand their share.
Thanks to these adjustments, I can now enjoy my ministry and making disciples even more. And honestly, I love it.
I feel like the new adjustment to reporting hours has really helped me because I'm not so worried about starting my time and ending my time. I feel like I'm in the ministry all the time.
Well, the first thing is I've completely changed my schedule, so I'm going out when people are out there.
Previously in the ministry, I expected people to listen to me, but now I want to listen to them.
It doesn't matter how many publications I leave with people. Now I see the importance of taking every opportunity to talk to people with the goal of making disciples.
Before, I was so happy when I could leave something from my witnessing bag. But now, I'm really happy if I leave someone a piece of my heart.
It has helped me really focus on what's more important, and that is making disciples.
I love this new approach to the ministry because I'm not memorizing a specific conversation. Now I can talk to them more naturally and really enjoy what we discuss about the Bible.
What does any of this have to do with the no reporting hours? This is curious for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is clearly how the governing body is trying to spin this change as a positive change that leads to more informal witnessing, and then pretends that this change has also made witnesses more effective in their preaching work for reasons? And also, it's interesting because it shows that the only time you can shit on anything related to the religion is to say that the new way is better. All of these people would have been considered as bad association if they had said this change would lead to these positive results a year ago. But now that the governing body decided to change it, everyone has to pretend like this is the best change that anyone could have made.
Our activity isn't defined by what we might call quantities, but rather it's motivated by the love we have for people.
We've noticed that the brothers and sisters in the circuit are really excited about this adjusted approach to our ministry. Before it was more structured, a topic, then a scripture, now it's a conversation.
I used to be worried about what I would say and how I would bring the conversation to the Bible, but now I realize that what matters more than what I say is that the person feels that I genuinely care about them.
So just like Jesus approached the woman at the well, I like to approach people about their dogs, and I like to talk to them, ask if I could pet the dog. It starts a nice relaxed conversation, and that can lead into like giving them a card or talking about the truth a bit. And oftentimes when I leave, I'll look back and they'll be scanning the card with their phone and they'll be looking at the website already.
I've noticed that now in the congregation, we've become more observant. And then we can use those observations in our conversations.
I'm kind of quiet and shy by nature, so there's this new method that says don't talk too much. And when I heard that, I was like, yes, that's something that I can do really well, and I just love it.
I feel much more relaxed because now our goal is to start conversations. So I focus on preparing ideas based on the needs of the people in the territory.
I feel really excited by the adjustment in the preaching work because it's encouraging us to engage in different forms of the ministry, such as informal, and while these don't come naturally to me, I feel really supported by Jehovah and its organisation to try these different avenues and to really pursue my goal of regular pioneering.
Again, they keep saying that before. The approach door to door was more structured, and now it's all about starting conversations. Because they stopped counting time? That's a clear non sequitur that's being said by either kids, regular looking men, or traditionally attractive women who all have two things in common. They believe this change is the best thing that ever happened to the religion, and they believe this change is pushing them to do more for the religion now and in the future.
Well, it's definitely made us want to expand our ministry so much more, just so that we can go out and help people to get to know Jehovah.
I see many in the congregation who find great joy in pioneering. I wanted to feel the same. So I am very happy to be a regular pioneer starting this month.
As a couple, we want to attend the School for Kingdom Evangelizers because we want to improve in learning new ways of showing our love for people.
I can't wait to pioneer. I want to pioneer, and then I'm going to go to SKE, and then I want to go wherever SKE sends me because it sounds like a fun adventure.
It's fantastic. All I have to do now is focus on people, and that's great. That's what it's all about.
That's what it was always about. I would get this reaction if it was about them saying they stopped selling literature door to door. Then, yes, I guess your approach now would be to make conversation. But the only change they've done is that they don't report hours anymore. And they're trying to pretend like that has a direct correlation with becoming better at the ministry. Don't ask them for any evidence like converted people. Just trust them.
Brothers and sisters, we love you for doing all you can according to your circumstances. Jesus said, as found at John 14:15, "If you love me, you will observe my commandments." We love our Master, and we love people, so we gladly obey Jesus' command to his disciples, "As you go, preach." From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
No, it's not JW Broadcasting. This is a governing body update, you idiot. David gaslights his followers by reading them an out-of-context verse that says that if you love Jesus, you would do what he says, and then reminds them that Jesus said at one point, "As you go, preach." Notice how he didn't actually quote any verse. This is a verse Jehovah's Witnesses constantly misapply from Matthew chapter 10, when Jesus sent out his 12 disciples ahead of him as his hype men, gave them healing superpowers, and told them to preach as they went their way. This was a command he gave to his disciples alone for one specific thing, not a command that every Christian should follow by doing informal preaching like David wants you to think. But that was the first governing body update of the year, and it's crazy that they're already dealing with the repercussions of the monumental changes from last year. I can't wait to see more people grow beards in their propaganda. Before we go, we're working on a project around judicial meetings. If you happen to have a recording of a judicial meeting, especially if it's not about apostasy and want to come forward with it, please send me a message on Twitter or on Instagram. I can keep it anonymous if you want me to. Thank you so much to my supporters, especially these guys over here who get to see all of my videos as soon as I have them without ads, as well as Sparlock files to 3D print their own Sparlock, updates, and more. And please go buy our merch store on your way out to pick yourself a nice apostate t-shirt.